day. Just believe. Another day. Just breathe.
Gareth, have you always been a Durban boy? Always lived out in Durban, schooling?
Born and bred. I think I'm a Durbanite. I love the sea. I love waking up to that smell of the ocean in the morning. So yeah.
And when you were there in Durban as a lighter there, sports, was that a thing? Were you provincial? How far did you take the sport in?
So I grew up mainly playing cricket. I think following my dad was also big into cricket.
Yeah.
Played through first team from junior school through to high school.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Well, I don't know about that. But just that was kind of it. A bit of athletics, but it was mainly focused on cricket.
Yeah.
Bit of golf on the weekends. Wanted to get into it young. Tennis on a Sunday. So I think sport kind of filled my life as a kid growing up.
Do you remember? If you think back, who was your favorite athlete at the time? Which cricketer did you emulate when you were playing cricket?
I think everyone grew up. I grew up in the era of John T. Rhodes, Andrew Hudson's, the side when you think back to when we first came back into sport, back into cricket, back in the '92 World Cup. The first cricket team got the chance. I think we were in Standard 4, Standard 5 at the time. Going back, I'm talking standard, so you can tell how long ago it was. I can't do the maths to work out the other stuff. And actually we went to the high school and we got to go watch it on the big screen, one of the matches, and I think that it was those era of those guys, and I think they really stood out and they owned the match and took us back back into it. So.
Actually reminds me of the Benson Hedges days.
Growing up, Wednesday night cricket, back when you were at home going, I want to watch this.
Yes.
So,
when One Day International was still popular at the time, before T20.
When One Day I'm sure in those days, One Day International was also just starting to get its identity, just starting to get some commercial understanding as well, because before then it was all about Test cricket. And then in the 80s and 90s, when the first World Cup started, that was when cricket as a brand started, and as Eddie's alluding to, that Benson and Hedges series, which was really big at the time. And I'm sure as a young man in Durban, that must have been really exciting for you to engage with at the time.
Yeah, I think everything was massive. There was something about the way that they brought the whole culture of cricket. There was almost an atmosphere. You could almost smell the braai at the game, and everyone wanted to be part of that action. Which sadly over the years has got lost a bit, but there definitely was something growing up in that era when we were back in sport. I think it was something incredible. I think growing up it was hugely inspirational. Like you wanted to be there.
So Gareth, tell me, because I have to ask this: from cricket to personal trainer, how did that happen?
It wasn't planned. It wasn't planned, to be honest with you. I think I left school. Sports had always been a big part of my life, always wanted to be in it. Wasn't really sure what was next. Didn't have the opportunity to go to varsity, do the normal things people do. And then I met someone and they went, well, there's an opening, would you be keen to do this? I think we finished school on the 8th of December, it was the 16th, it was a public holiday, and they were like, we need somebody come shadow us and do it. And it kind of just started out then. It was back in the old health and racket days, just as the whole changeover into Virgin Active in the country. And started, and I was like, start your job first, 4:30 in the morning, you're kind of like, I just finished school, I should be partying, what's going on here? And it kind of went from there, and then I signed up from that January. I started a personal training course, and that was kind of it, Lucky enough to be one of the youngest fitness managers across health and racket at the time. At 19, I got offered that position. So a massive learning curve, and you've got people that are a lot older you reporting into you, and you're sort of like, I don't know what I'm doing. But it's like, you can't always choose your circumstances, you just got to make them work. But I think that's kind of where it snowballed from there.
And then Gareth, I think maybe if you can just take us on your evolution from then being a professional in the fitness arena and growing your career to where you see yourself now as one of the brand leaders in South Africa, and in particular in the sports branding industry.
Well, thanks for the little compliment you got to me. Sounds like it. As I said, things just kind of evolve. I did that for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, and I was like, that was never the end goal for me. I didn't want to be a personal trainer first in my life. Like, I think having parents that were in business, I always wanted to go the business route, but I wanted to go, how do I mix sport and business? But I didn't quite know at that stage how to do it. So I went and studied business management and finished that. And then was like, I'd always been interested in graphics and like graphic design through school, and the idea of becoming a creative director, I kind of had no idea what it meant, but I was like, at some stage I want to be involved in being creative, like in storytelling, and that there was always been something. I don't think you know what it is, but I'd always had this idea of that's where I wanted to be. And then did business management for a while, did everything part-time, so then I started working in like a small agency, and you kind of bounce around from there. And then I went on to study marketing, because I was like, you know what, if you have a bit of marketing and personal training and business management, you kind of become this, not too all-rounded, but I also had a personal training qualification, so I was like, when you're talking in sport, you're talking in business, you kind of can talk with a bit of authority because you've done it. And the rest, I believe you learn on the job. And that was important to me. So it kind of went through the advertising, a bit in sports marketing, and I was kind of like, okay, now I'm starting to find a niche here.
At that point, what was the kind of support that you're getting from your parents? They were business owners, like you said, and you were a personal trainer moving to this. Was it tough explaining to them what was currently happening in your life at the time, the journey you were taking?
Yeah, I think, not to get over personal, but I lost my dad when I was at school. But he had been a CA, chartered accountant, owned business, like lots of pressure coming from there. But I think I took a lot of inspiration from my mom, who kind of had to then look after us. She'd been in the family business, but not really at a senior level, and kind of had to step up and go make this happen. And for me, I've always wanted to be that in life. I don't want to be the person who looks like you've ever been just handed whatever you've got. You've had to work hard for it. And I think when I look back on my career, I want someone to be like, you know, you worked for this. And that's always what's been instilled in me. And I think that's kind of where everything sort of led to from there. And they've always been like, you need to do what makes you happy. And I think that's been amazing support, because you don't often get that, you know. I think I probably would have either gone on to be a professional cricketer if my dad had his way, or a CA.
Not too bad, actually.
Not bad options. But I always wanted my own path, and I wanted to define who I was. So I was quite strong-willed, and like in that way, I was like, I wanted to find whether, and I made lots of mistakes along the way. But that defines who you become.
I think actually it's quite important, that line, that you wanted to find your own way, and hence why I also want to ask you this question, Unleash Academy. Because Unleash Academy, I find it hard to separate Gareth Marshall from Unleash Academy. In your words, what is Unleash Academy?
It's a side project. I think I've always looked at sportsmen and athletes as going, they have to work hard every day. You know, you got to go to training. There's a lot of discipline. Not all the athletes get it right, but you see the top ones, they're the first one at training, they're the last one to leave, and you wonder why they're the best in the world. Well, like, that's what it is. In business, a lot of people get locked in, but I only start work at 8, and I finish at 4:35. Business world doesn't work like that. You know, you've got to be, yes, you've got your core hours, you need to be around, but it's a 24/7 game, and you need to be available, and you need to make things happen when they need to happen. And you look at athletes, they don't work business hours. They don't work any hours. It's like when you need to train, you need to train. You need to prepare for that match. And in business, you don't know when the next meeting's going to come. You don't know when you need to present to the board. You don't know when you need to go and have a meeting with an influencer. But you need to always be prepared for those situations. And that's kind of where it came from. It's an idea I've had for ages. And then December, over the holidays, I was like, well, you don't need a rest. I'm going to make this happen. And put it together, put a few of my own ideas out of there, and I've been lucky enough to partner with some really cool people who've wanted to come on board and go, I love this idea, and let's do it. And it's kind of snowballed from there. Where it's going to end up and where it's going to go, it's the one thing I've kind of gone 80% right. You know, I spoke about storytelling and that, and I want to be able to tell better stories. And for me, the way I wanted to do that, I want to learn to write better. Not everyone's a creative writer. How's the best way to become a writer? Write something and put it out there to be criticized. And that creates the debate. Not everything that you say is right. But I want people to challenge and go, well, I disagree. Great. Why? Always go back to that question, why? But I've been able to meet some amazing people through that journey, and it's been such a short time. But it's and it's also got me to go back and think about how I act in business. You know, you go through the ranks, and I've been lucky enough to be with Unilever a long time now, But you go from being a junior in the business, all of a sudden you become a manager and you have to manage people. Nothing prepares you for that. And the higher up you go, the more people you have reporting to you, and you just kind of go through it. So this has given me the opportunity to go back and actually think about, am I doing the right thing? Which is really cool. Am I living what I say? And it's always that sense check. And then people can hold you accountable.
I think, Gareth, also one of the big buzzwords is now in business as well, is in terms of business coaches and that whole element of mentorship and growing and building people in that way. But sometimes that is inaccessible for the ordinary person, for the day-to-day employee who's got aspirations but doesn't know exactly how to take themselves from their aspirations into a particular sort of area of expertise. So do you believe that Unleash Academy offers that in a very accessible way, access to business coaching principles, access to career planning principles, and other ways just to build people up from wherever they may be and take them up to the next level?
I think that's the dream. That's where I'd like it to go. I think it's too new to have been able to do that. I like to think there's a lot of great content, and some of the people that I've collaborated with who put content on there, and I think it really understands who that athlete is, and you call it like a business athlete, because everyone's running a race every day. You don't just rock up at the start line and think you're going to win a race. There's a lot of preparation that goes behind all of that. There's been someone who's come to me and they went, this happened at the right time in my life. They lost their job and they were trying to make it on their own, and it's like that's all that matters. If you can touch one person's life, you've made a difference in someone's life, and that's an awesome feeling. And now I'm kind of driven to make this come alive. I've got to be real. I have a job that I need to focus on, and a family that needs to take. But it's kind of nice to have this side project in check, because it also enables you to meet cool people.
Definitely.
And interesting people who've kind of gone and led the journey, and that you can. I believe in continuous learning. You need to continuously challenge yourself and get out of your comfort zone. And that's enabled me to do that.
So Gareth, when did you discover this love for branding and marketing?
I don't know. I don't think I can pinpoint the exact brand marketing, but I think it comes back to, as we were saying a bit earlier, in terms of this whole creativity and storytelling. Through school, I actually thought I was going to become an architect or something like in computers or something. I mean, I did computer science and I did technical drawing at school, and I think your love for creativity starts there. If you look at technical drawing, there's almost a lot of business behind it too, because it's like there's a science behind it. You look at marketing, it's like it's when science or magic or this whole everything comes together. And I think the love is just grown. Creativity, you go back and you were saying something a bit off camera about always asking why, that curiosity. And I think that's just what it is, and I think that's where your love for brand. Why do brands do that? Why do they stand for this? Why do people do that? I think it comes out of a love for people. I love meeting new people and different people. Working in London, it's this hub of this mash of people from all over the world. You think you go there, you hardly meet anybody who's from there, but that's the beauty of it. I learned so much about different cultures, and that grows who you are. So I think that's kind of where it's kind of just grown organically.
I think speaking about people in your brand journey, in your journey in your brand management and market management, were there any particular people that influenced you, any role models that assisted you, anyone that sticks out when you're thinking of your path and your journey that really helped you along in your marketing work?
I think there's been a few people. I think you want to learn from them. I don't believe you want to aspire to be somebody, because then you lose who you individually. I think one of the people, it's actually later in my career, so I'm going back sort of 3-4 years ago now, probably one of the toughest managers I've ever had, but I learned the most from them. Because I think that always pushed you to be better. I think I've always worked well with people who push me to be better, not always go, I would have done it differently, or done it like, everything can be done differently. There's not a perfect answer to anything, but it's always those people to go, did you think about this? More like, and they were one of these people, and I think it's something that's always stuck with me. There's like people who push you, like really go, like, what about, like, I think keep asking that why.
I mean, working in London, you must have been exposed to a whole variety of campaigns and speaking to global markets. So how would you, in your own words, define the power of marketing?
I think power of marketing for me is that tiny explosion that happens in someone's brain. Everyone has a reaction to something that they encounter, and it needs to be positive. And I think brands have the opportunity to change people's lives more than you think. They define society. You have people who will save up for that pair of jeans or that shirt because that shows that they've made it. And sometimes you forget that as a brand you have the power to do that. You know, I'm fortunate enough now to work on a brand that I believe and that I hope is making a positive impact in people's lives. It's creating that platform, that opportunity for them to get to the next level in their journey. And that's our job to be done as brands. You know, it's so easy to go so hungry after the money. At the end of the day, you need to deliver business results. That goes without saying. Brands need money to survive, to reinvest. But at the same time, if you can do good, you're gonna succeed too.
I think that's a very good starting point for my next question. Shield Unilever, it's a global company. It's so easy to get lost into the wheel and how things have always been done. But with this football campaign that you guys have, you guys are actually changing lives. So maybe talk about how Shield Men is actually impacting young guys in South Africa.
If we go back to where this campaign started, it's so easy, and I use campaign loosely because I don't think that's fair to classify it under. Because so often you got a new innovation launch, and it's like you think in 6-month buckets or a year bucket, and you go, we need to launch this product, and what are we going to do? And it was going back to the drawing board and going, who is our consumer? What is that insight? And how do we make a brand all about movement? We enable you to move so you don't have to worry about odor and sweat and all that sort of stuff. They're there to deodorant brand. But how do you make that relevant in people's lives? And football is the #1 passion point in South Africa. It kind of made sense to be there from a brand. So great, we ticked all the boxes. But how do you play there authentically? Most brands want to play there. And that's where the partnerships came up with. We were sitting back and going, well, who do we partner with that will enable us to unlock opportunities? And that's where the likes of Chelsea came from and Orlando Pirates, because they wanted to do a similar thing. And we're like, this is before we get to talking about a red card. It's like, guys, this is what we want to do as a brand. What can you help us do? And what do you want to do? And how do you merge those together? And then that's where the journey started. This is where Spornisi Diski was born. It's like, show us your moves. We're about movement, and how do you create a program that creates opportunities for people to go over and train at Chelsea? You know, you think it's just training. It's like you go there. It's life changing. You go and realize, one, that being a professional sportsman is not easy because you have to go to training every day and it's cold and like London weather's not easy. And you know what they go through, you know, to get to the pitch every day, and you get to run on and work and go and train where your heroes are. I mean, like it's emotional stuff. And then now to be able to come back and give someone the opportunity to go and play for Orlando Pirates, the MDC team. We've seen players who've come through that program, go on to their first team, and now training, like going playing overseas. As a brand, we want to do that, and we want to do more. So that's kind of been the journey.
I think as you were speaking there, you touched on something really important in terms of sponsorship marketing, and it's very daunting for a lot of marketers. A lot of marketers don't know how to use it, and very often marketers get scared off by the rate sheet. So maybe if you can just give us a bit more in-depth thinking about how do you guys decide, how do you make a sponsorship marketing campaign work as opposed to just putting your brand on a jersey?
I don't think we've got it right, but I like to think we're on the right journey. And going back to the boys asking why, if you go and sit and go, I want to partner with a club, with a team, with a person, if you don't know why you're doing it and how that's going to enable or think back to who your consumer is. What's the problem you want to solve first? And then you can work out what the solution is. Very easy with sponsorship. They're like, well, if I just throw money, I'll get my brand out there, and you slap a logo on a shirt, is that really making a difference in anyone's life? Yes, it puts you top of mind because everyone's focused on that point.
Definitely.
But are you making a sustainable difference? That's when sponsorship marketing can really come alive. Versus just going, but teams need that sponsorship on a jersey. So I don't want to take it away from brands that are doing that. That's part of their plan, and they have a reason for doing that. But you don't want to just do that because it's the easy option out.
Yeah.
Whereas you can use sponsorship marketing, it's so much more powerful. You have a really engaged audience from a marketing point of view, that are passionate, that live, they follow their team, they follow their players every day, and you get to tap into that. But you also then get to enable and add value to that experience that they're having with that club or with that team.
And I think for me, what I want to ask is, what's your golden rule for marketing? What's your like benchmark, your rule of thumb?
Put the consumer first. Understand the problem you want to solve, and how are you going to impact their lives in a positive way. Because if you don't have that, then you're just throwing anything out there. And it sounds so basic, but you forget that. We're humans too. We are consumers. Although the longer you've been in marketing, I'm not. You can debate you can debate whether you're still a consumer or not. But you're trying to bring different change to people's lives. I was lucky enough to actually spend some time with consumers. We don't do this enough, and we should. Just going and talking to them about their daily life and what they go through, you know, and you come to realize if you have a job, you're privileged, no matter what that job is. And if you get to impact those other people, then that's what's important, because they're spending their hard-earned money or any money they manage to get on your brand. Have the respect for them.
It actually made me think of my journey into being a consumer of Nike. I'm not trying to plug Nike here. I used to be a staunch Adidas fan. So much so that even my secret socks were Adidas. That's our thing. And when Nike launched the Run Josie 10-kilometer race, I got into running. And I showed up in my full Adidas gear, and I ran this race, and I felt it was cool. And then I went to the running clubs that used to happen on Tuesday and Thursday, and there were Nike sneakers. Run with them for free. I ran with them. And I said, you know what? If I'm going to be part of this village, because I'm enjoying what they're doing, I'm going to look the part. And I ended up buying 2 pairs of Nike sneakers. And I think for me, I studied my own journey in terms of how I got converted, especially being a marketer. So you always watch out for these gimmicks. But at the end, I ended up wearing Nike sneakers. So my next question for you guys is, for you Gareth, is the journey of a consumer. How, especially in sports marketing, we talk about emotions and experience. How key is that for you guys in terms of the campaign you guys are going?
I think it's vital, and I think you just touched on a very good point. Don't show me and tell me about a product. Let me experience it. Clearly Adidas communication was talking to you, but Nike wasn't. Then as soon as you went and became part of that culture, you bought into it because you were part of that experience, and everyone on that same journey together. You were like, well, maybe I need to change. And that's just what it's about. And I think we try to do that, is don't just go, we have this product, it's great for this, but put it to the test. Let people experience it, and they must come back and tell you, does it work or doesn't it work? That's the true torture test.
I think what you're touching on is really important there in terms of having a constant communication backwards and forwards with your consumers. And I think the old way of marketing was that brands used to talk to consumers, and the industry is moving to a interactive communication. And in terms of how you guys work that, not only with your experiential and sports marketing, but as well in terms of your social media and how the other elements of the plugin, how do you guys try to communicate with your consumers?
I think there's a lot of clever people and a lot of clever science behind all of this, but in South Africa it's so easy to fall back to the traditional methods. You're on TV, you reach the masses. You in print, that sort of thing. But there's still a lot of place for those, especially in the South African market. TV is very important. But how do you make it more engaging? Everyone's dual screening. No matter who you are, if you're watching TV, you're playing on your phone, WhatsApp, whatever you're doing. But how do you make your ad? You must be able to get people to look up and at least watch it. It needs to be engaging. But then at the end of that ad, how do you engage them and how do you get them to do something next? Is it the basic, you can Shazam it or do you QR code it? I don't have the answers, but at least then you're getting them to interact with your brand and having a positive experience versus just pushing thing like that. And this is where the rise of the sports marketing, it's not new, but I think people are understanding how to use it better versus just putting a logo somewhere. We've got the rise of influencer marketing. But I don't think anyone's really known how to do it properly yet.
Yeah.
But I think it's evolving to being more engaging. People, like consumers, they're not stupid. They're people too, and they're not just gonna go, oh, so they really believe that. They're kind of going, well, they're being paid to say that. But that's right. You are, but you're also paid to put your own voice in it and come across in an authentic way. And that's what you want. So I think this whole push marketing, I think we're moving away from that. You need to engage and come back and take people on that journey. And we go back to that example of how Nike did it. That's amazing. You went and experienced it. You're part of the culture. You got to try on the shoes. You got to experience it. It's so easy to go to the shop, try on a pair of shoes. You walk 2 paces and you go, these feel cool. You go and run 5, 10, 20 Ks in those shoes and it's a completely different experience. And then what, you stuck. Whereas you've got to try them, you've got to try that brand, and you can give feedback. I think the biggest way is having this two-way conversation. Co-create campaigns with people. That's part of what I've loved about the Shields Bonisi Diski campaign, is you're actually on the ground with people. How is the brand talking to you? Is it working? What do you like? What don't you like about the brand? You know, and that's great. You need the negative feedback too, so you can get better. You know, luckily there's a lot of positive feedback, which is awesome. But you need both. You need to have this constant dialogue.
And then, so one question I have to ask in this segment is, so Sponi Diski has been around for what, 3 years now?
Yeah.
So I have to ask this from the onset. I'm a Chelsea fan. Do you even like Chelsea? Were you supporting Chelsea back in the days?
I've always supported sport. I've never really had like a team that I went after, which I think is better because then you don't cloud your judgment. I've become a Chelsea fan through the process. That I can't deny. But that's been awesome because I've got to experience what that club is about through the process, and also the experience they gave to my consumers. You know, I'm not saying another club wouldn't do that, but I've been on the journey with them, and they've always gone above and beyond. Like they even said it at that interview that I had with them a few weeks ago, and they were like, we took the contract and we stuck it in a drawer. They're like, cool, we've got the legal stuff signed. Now what are we really going to do? And that I loved from them, going like, cool, let's constantly evaluate where we are and how do we tweak and move. We go back to this whole branding thing. It's so easy every year to change your brand, to reinvent it, to change what you want to say, tweak and move. Speak to consumers and just tweak and move. Easier said than done, because new people come in and go and everyone wants to add their stamp. I think the true test of being a good marketer is know when not to change something.
I think that's enough about Chelsea.
Touching on a point there.
The team lost during this week.
We just say Man United. Just say Man United. Just say everyone knows who's doing this. But I think what you're touching on is key in terms of the relationship you guys have had with Chelsea, and it's an awesome relationship. And as you were talking about influencers earlier on, and in particular sports influencers, how do you see those relationships working now, and how do you see them evolving as we go forward?
Just never go back and reinvent, because you're taking people on a journey. They need to go on that journey with you. And that's where influencers and athletes and that all come in. You know, they're on the journey with you. They need to buy into your brand. You know, there was a case, or it came up a few weeks ago, somebody was like, they were using X phone, and then you look on Twitter and it goes, taken with this phone.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And not to call people out, but that's not genuine.
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't happen to one, that happens to lots of people, like with any brand.
Yeah.
It just shows you that stuff's becoming more out there, and the consumer has access to this stuff, so just be genuine.
Sticking on the point of influencers, in your opinion, who is, in fact the original question was, who is South Africa's commercially strong athlete? But maybe I should maybe rephrase it to like athletes or entertainment superstars. Which one are more commercially strong for a brand to work with?
Influencers, I use them like that term loosely, but I think entertainers or athletes and that, I think are coming a long way to understand who they are as a brand and what is building their personal brand all about. I think if you go back to what like influencer marketing was, it was everyone needs to earn money. So then you stand for everything, but then you end up standing for nothing. And I don't think there's one person right now that stands out. I think in the music scene, the entertainment scene, they're starting to get it a bit more right.
Yeah.
Than maybe in the sports scene. I think athletes are starting to understand they're more of that role model and what they can play in sport,
Yeah.
and what to the young kids coming up who aspire to be them. But I think we're in an interesting space now where people are actually going, I need to stand for something, and sometimes say no to something because it impacts me as a personal brand. And I think once we unlock that, then it'll become a true part of the whole marketing mix.
So just going back to my journey with Nike, I went and I did research because, like you said, why? Why did they convert me from Adidas to Nike? And Nike had changed their mission statement. And previously they were just, they said, the mission statement they adopted was read as Nike exists to inspire, to bring inspiration and innovation to athletes, and it was asterisk by athlete. And Nike, their vision or their idea of an athlete changed from a professional, paid human being to anybody that's got a body. And that became their purpose that related to every activity. And we've touched on purpose just off camera.
Yeah.
In your opinion, how many brands, though, is this a new trend? Is it an old trend of this purpose-driven brands?
I think it's becoming a new trend, but I don't want to call it a trend because then brands are doing it just so they look cool.
Yeah.
And we are forced internally to make sure that when you have a brand with purpose, the brand must be born out of the purpose. Don't add the purpose afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great, because otherwise you're not genuine. But going back to Nike, if you have a body, you're an athlete. That's so true. But it's such a simple insight that's easy to forget. And also going back, they don't always choose the top athletes. I can't remember his name, but there's a story, and I think he had muscular sclerosis, if I'm not mistaken. But he wanted to be a runner, and he was running, and the Nike scouts were waiting for him at the end, and handed him an endorsement deal. That is putting what you say to the test. And it kind of got publicity, not because they put money behind it, because everyone else spoke about it. That's what you want as a brand. But that's kind of them being genuine, and they've done lots of things like this. And that's cool, but that's genuine because they put an endorsement deal, so they put money behind this, and big money. They gave him the same endorsement deals they would give a professional, or not. He's now a professional athlete, but your traditional professional athlete. Let's call it that.
And then you touched on the word genuine, and it's such a, I think it's a term that we use similar to authentic and all that stuff. But are we in South Africa in the marketing landscape, in your opinion? How genuine are the brands?
I'd like to say they're genuine, and I think they're wanting to be genuine. But it's good that I think in the media it's been called out. I never forget my first interview on Soccer Zone with Thomas Anumwa, and he was like, "So are you just another brand playing in football?" And I was like, "Great challenge." Because I don't want to just be another brand, because then we're a Me Too. You come in, you drop in, you do a little bit, you get the thing, and you leave. We're back with year 3, and we're trying to go bigger and better. So I hope that what we say, we're leading and trying to do what we say. But I challenge other brands to do the same thing. And I think there are. We've got brands, we're talking about off camera, like Nando's who stand for something. There's just these other brands that are coming up. But you know what, it's not, it's often sometimes the smaller brands, which is really cool. Not just your big ones that you expect to do it, and that's kind of what you want to see.
Definitely.
I think, Gareth, on that topic as well, is there an internal debate amongst marketing management and brand management in terms of portraying our true authentic identity versus bottom line thinking, and we need to get sales, we need to get numbers? And if there is that internal debate, who's winning out that debate? I mean, I think all brands would like to say that we're pushing our identity out there, but as you mentioned earlier, at the end of the day, brands need to make money to be able to sustain all the other things that are required for the business. But in terms of bottom line thinking versus being authentic, being genuine, sometimes, campaigns like the ones we're talking about are risky. There is the potential for you to lose brand equity, for you to lose market share. Are brands actually becoming more bold and taking bigger steps in terms of, let's get ourselves out there, let's take this risk. It may or may not have a positive impact on our immediate sales, but it is authentic to who we are and the long-term thinking of brand building and where that return will come from.
It's a constant internal struggle. you need, at the end of the day, you need to make money as a brand. Because you can't go and do the cool stuff and go and impact people if you don't have the money to do it. So it's a vicious circle. I think a lot more is coming out of driving brands with purpose. That's becoming real, and you'll be successful by doing good. I'm a strong believer in that you do good, and then people, as long as they see you being genuine, they will buy into you, and therefore you'll do good. You still have to stand in front of your leaders and go, these are the results, and you need to deliver that. So it's a constant battle where you're pulled in two directions. But I like to say, I think the more you do good and the more you go out there and make the brand relevant in people's lives, you see the returns in business.
I think, like, a piece of advice that you give. I'm a young business startup entrepreneur, and I'm trying to push this bottom line like Kutsu was talking about. What marketing advice would you give me, and why should I even be thinking about marketing?
I think first of all, understand why you're in business and why you're doing that business you're in, and go and spend time and understand really who your consumer is.
So as the Hero Marketing team, we've come up with a metric of how to categorize and group different companies together. So we're just going to ask you now, just for a quick fire tip, if it's the one takeaway from anybody who's watching this video for their brand and how to manage their brand and how to grow their brand. So we've broken them down into 3 categories. The first category is the whale, which is an established company, a big company, a Unilever, and the characteristics of a whale are obviously that they're big. It takes a lot to keep them going, and they're not always very agile and able to turn quickly. So if you could just give us a quick fire, just very short snippet of any advice you'd give to a whale and how they should navigate the seas in the marketing industry now.
It's an interesting thing because it goes, if you look at the whale, as you call it, and then all these startups. Startups have speed and agility, but they don't have scale. A big corporate has the scale, but doesn't always have the speed and agility. So I think have a look at a way that you can, if you've got that scale and you've got that presence, how do you simplify your operations that you have speed and agility, and you can adapt to market dynamics. There's not too many people who need to, like, if there's a line of 10 people who need to sign off something, you're not going to have speed, and you're then not going to have agility. But in a marketing point of view, tweak and move. Don't change what you stand for just because you have another idea. Have the guts to stick to what you've been doing, but understand the market, and you need to adapt. But it's understanding how you can have speed and agility.
I think the second aspect in our metric is the shark. So the shark is a middle-sized company that's looking to grow, very aggressive. As you say, it's agile, it's able to move quickly, it's able to make those moves, but it's very aggressive. So if you would have a quick fire piece of advice for the sharks in the industry.
I think the good news is they've got a little bit more agility and speed to market, but it's how do you get more scale? And I think my answer is going to be similar across them. Understand your consumer, and then adapt your business to change their lives. You've got a little bit less margin of error because you're a medium-sized company, so you need to be a little bit more cautious. I suppose that's probably the best place to be in a way, because people are not going to judge you as hard, whether you are the big corporate or the small guy. But go back, really understand your consumer.
And then you might have already answered this, but the last metric is the plankton, which is the smallest on the food chain. It's the startup. They're on everybody's, as the ladder of food goes up, they're the first ones usually to go out. So they're the small ones, they are vulnerable, they're just getting started, they're just trying to find their feet. There's lots of players in the market, there's lots of competition in their field, and they're also vulnerable to get swallowed up by the bigger businesses. So just a quick fire advice that you would have for the plankton in the market.
I think you need to go back, find out why you're in business, understand why you're doing that, and then really find a way to be unique. I think it's one of the most exciting spaces to work in. To have that agility, you can be anything overnight, and to grow your business. And I think live and breathe your business that you're in, and have fun and have have fun while you're doing it, because it's easy to get lost in feeling overwhelmed, and it's a constant battle. But just you have that perseverance, develop grit. I think, and it's one of my favorite things is grit. You know, that's passion and perseverance. You have the passion to do something, but do you have the perseverance to keep pushing? So that's my advice. I think the marketing advice will stay the same, but I think if you're in that startup or that plankton space, that's an exciting space to be.
Yeah.